want that people who want to understand our position.
And there's going to be a caucus in Nevada.
El padre de Bernie Sanders llegó a Estados Unidos siendo un hombre joven. Su padre no tenía nada de dinero y no podía hablar el lenguaje.
She isn't afraid to talk about the importance of el respeto.
We had plantains, we had beans and rice. For Christmas, we would roast a whole pig a lot of years for Christmas Eve.
I want to tell you a story about someone that didn't speak English that well. It was my grandfather. He came to this country in the 1960s as escaping Cuba.
I've heard the term, you've probably heard the term Hispandering, which is, it's used when people perceive candidates to be condescending to Latinos. You know, if someone's wearing a sombrero on stage, that's inappropriate. Or they're making references to taking tequila shots, that's inappropriate.
Me being able to vote in this coming election, I'm a Mexican American, and I want to know, my first instinct is, what is this next president, what is he going to do with this, with immigration? I asked her where she was from. I forgot where she was from, but no, I told her where my parents are from. My parents are from Jalisco, so it wasn't that far. And we just exchanged a couple of words in Spanish. I just told her that it hurts me hearing what other candidates say about immigrants. Donald Trump is saying something racist and he's gaining voters? What is it? What? I don't understand.
Go, Jeff! 1, 2, 3. Go, Jeff! Excellent. Thank you very much.
Four years ago, Herman Cain was the front runner, and 2 weeks prior to that, it was Rick Perry. Both are great guys, but they didn't win the nomination. 8 years ago, it was, let me think, Rudy Giuliani was up by, had like 30% of the vote. I don't think he got a delegate, even though he's a great guy too. 4 years ago, Hillary Clinton, or 8 years ago, Hillary Clinton was up by 26 points over now President Barack Obama. So,
how important is Nevada to you, no matter?
February is important. New Hampshire, Iowa, Nevada, South Carolina set the stage for a huge chunk of delegates in March, and they all influence one after the other. So.
Yes, I had met him before, and I actually chose not to take a picture with him last time, just because I was not happy that he had not mentioned anything about well, yeah, he did mention something about immigration, but I wanted to hear him say the steps, the plan, just outline the plan for the people to hear it, because that was the first time I went in Carson City to a town hall meeting, and I wanted to hear that, and he didn't say it. So I was a little heartbroken, if you may say that, because I am Hispanic. I am a naturalized citizen myself, and I wanted him to say his plan, because to me it's so far the best.
do it because I really believe in the promise of America. I was raised to believe that. You know, my grandfather came here as a young immigrant, and he went to work in a factory, the Scranton Lace Mills in Scranton, Pennsylvania. And he worked really hard. And he did it to support his family, but he also did it because he wanted to give his children a better life, and he did.
I want to tell you a story about someone that didn't speak English that well. It was my grandfather. He came to this country in the 1960s as escaping Cuba, and he lived with us growing up. And my grandfather loved America. He understood what was so special about this country. He loved Ronald Reagan. He would be very proud of the fact that we're here this evening. My grandfather instilled in me the belief that I was blessed to live in the one society in all of human history where even I, the son of a bartender and a maid, could aspire to have anything and be anything that I was willing to work hard to achieve. But he taught me that in Spanish because it was the language he was most comfortable in. And he became a conservative even though he got his news in Spanish. And so I do give interviews in Spanish, and here's why. Because I believe that free enterprise and limited government is the best way to help people who are trying to achieve upward mobility. And if they get their news in Spanish, I want them to hear that directly from me, not from a translator at Univision.
You know, when I think of domestic policy, I try to think from the perspective of my dad, who in 1957, my dad fled Cuba. He'd been in prison, he'd been tortured. And when he came to America, he was 18 and he couldn't speak English. He had $100 in his underwear. And his first job was washing dishes, making 50 cents an hour. And he worked full time, he paid his way through school. He went on to start a small business, to become an Hispanic small business owner. And I try to think of policies over and over again. How would they have affected my dad when he was a teenage immigrant washing dishes, making 50 cents an hour?
We're going to do a town hall meeting with the Libre Initiative, which will be a Hispanic event, which I'm looking forward to. Porque de vez en cuando me dejan hablar español.
Thanks, everybody.
El padre de Bernie Sanders llegó a Estados Unidos siendo un hombre joven. Su padre no tenía nada de dinero y no podía hablar el lenguaje, pero vino en busca de una vida mejor, para sí mismo, para su familia. Así que inmigración no es solo una palabra para Bernie Sanders, es parte de la historia de su vida. Su historia es la historia del inmigrante. Bernie marchó por los derechos civiles con Martin Luther King Jr. Ha pasado su vida luchando contra la inigualdad y la injusticia. Como presidente, Bernie Sanders se asegurará que familias se mantengan juntas. Los inmigrantes indocumentados tengan un camino hacia la ciudadanía. Luchará por salarios dignos, igualdad de pago y universidades públicas gratuitas. Reúnase el 20 de febrero en apoyo de Bernie Sanders. Estamos construyendo un movimiento con usted para tener un futuro en el que podemos creer.
I'm Bernie Sanders, candidate for president, and I approve this message.
Pagado por Bernie, 2016.
Hillary Clinton's campaign released a list targeting Hispanic voters, 7 ways Hillary Clinton is just like your abuela, and it did not go over well. Twitter fought back, listing all the reasons why Clinton is #NotMyAbuela.
We have been used, that's for sure. But we like to be, no, we don't like to be used. We know we are being used, but between these two ideologies, it's very obvious that we are not going to buy the Republican ideology, because the Democrats, they in some way they respect us. They say that we are important and they are doing things for us, and like in immigration, or they are trying to do it, and also we know that is for them to be elected, they need us. So we know that we are important.
I think it's cool that Cruz and Rubio do have a that heritage, the Latino heritage, and they're definitely using it, in their campaigns to connect with Latino voters. But I'm not sure how much they're going to serve the interest of our population.
I think in the Latino community, you don't have to be a Latino to win an election. I think we're smarter than that. I think you have to be somebody to speak to our issues. I'm out in the community, and I have to tell you, people have no idea who Rubio is. And the campaign was like, no somos todos rubios, because the word Rubio means blonde. So I thought that was a very nice message. And I think his story as a Cuban American, the Latino community know that, he was elected senator claiming that, he has to escape this incredible system during Fidel Castro revolution. And then when it was discovered that it was a fiasco, that it wasn't true, I think the Latino community understand. They understand who the so-called Latino candidates are and how they haven't been good to the Latino community. I mean, what has Ted Cruz done for the Latino communities? He opposed immigration reform. He opposed a lot of issues that are important to the Latino community. And then President Bush, I mean, he's married to a Mexican lady, but he hasn't been good in Latino issues. And not because he speaks Spanish, he's going to convince us. He will have to change his message. He will have to change the stand in the issues for us to vote for him.
That doesn't necessarily say that because I speak Spanish now I've won that vote. I can't say that even that just because you're Latino, you're going to win the Latino vote. Sometimes it comes down, I believe a lot of it comes down to your merits and who you are as a person, your character, and how hard you're going to work.
There's no such thing as Latino issues. People care just as much about job security, health care, education. These are all very general issues, not necessarily just in the community, but people try to, isolate and alienate the communities instead of saying, well, these are our similarities, like what are the differences? And that can be really frustrating.
So an interesting conversation there as well is it's not just about immigration. As even for myself as a kid growing up here, the issues that matter to me are the same that matter to everyone in general, and that's that we want to see someone that's going to be strong for education, providing resources and funding for education, common sense education, knowing that not everyone wants to go to college, but they want to make sure they have the skills to be productive and successful in life. The other one is making sure that the health care is strong.
We're here to make changes in the community. We're not here to steal anybody's jobs. We're here to just better ourselves and move forward and live like humans and come out of the shadows. Our experience is similar to those of many immigrants that want to just move forward, move on and live like anybody else's, like human beings.
Believe me, they don't have anchor babies in there. There's no anchor babies. It's bye-bye. We gotta change, or we're not gonna be great anymore. We're gonna, I have an expression, and it's been used a lot over the years, make America great again is my big expression. But there's another one. And so often I like to use, I love expressions because it says the American dream is dead. You know that, right? The American dream is dead, but I'm gonna make it bigger and better and stronger than ever before. Bigger and better and stronger.
Anchor babies, the notion of the DREAM Act and whether that will address this incredible bubble of people who are seemingly trapped in America. Or if you look at what happened on labor law, or if you look at what happened in terms of attempts at voter suppression, or if you look at what happened in terms of changing situations in K-12 or higher ed, or the economy and the debates over minimum wage. There are a number of issues that are bread and butter. There are a number of issues that touch the very soul of voters this election cycle, and I think especially Latino voters. So I think this is going to shape up as the most important election, and as a result will make this a much more engaging and a much higher level of awareness than we've seen in the past.